Hi, friends. Welcome back. So, as you know, the Trump circus is in town, and they're looking to set up shop for the next 4 years come January. And already in preparation for that, Trump has his tables of wares looking to hawk them onto you, be it the Bibles, the gold shoes, the NFTs, the cryptos, and now most recently, guitars. Gibson, the guitar maker, is sending Trump a letter that says, cease and desist, stop doing that. And essentially, that tells you the story of the market that we're in right now. Basically, the market's telling Trump, quit it, cut it out, cease and desist. And so, what is the market upset about? It's that recent tariff announcement. Basically, Trump is saying 10% tariffs on China, 25% on Mexico, and 25% on Canada. Already, markets were freaking out with the auto stocks, be it your GM, your Ford, Stellantis, etc. Those stocks were falling. Essentially, you may or may not know this, but a lot of parts for cars come from outside the USA. They may assemble the cars in USA, but a lot of them, the parts that it is, come from outside. And tariffs essentially put an extra burden of tax onto the companies, and the companies will ultimately pass that cost on to you. And Mexico is looking to hit back on the Trump tariffs, saying, hey, if you're going to hit us with tariffs, we're going to hit you with tariffs. And then you got a trade war. The problem is for the American consumer is that costs are going to go up. You may not know this, but a lot of food comes from Mexico, be it fruits, vegetables, nuts, and more importantly, beer. Yes, top selling beer in Mexico, I think, is Modelo, and then Corona is also very, very popular. And the problem is if you're the American consumer, you're like, okay, do I really want to have to suffer through and drink Bud Light? Or do I get what I really want, which is that Modelo, but it's going to cost me maybe 20, 30% more? But I get it, guys. If you watch Fox News and you watch the right-wing media, they're always telling you the caravan is coming. The caravan is coming. Oh no! And here's the truth, guys. It's really hard to come if you're walking, right? Be it from South America, Central America, Latin America. A lot of these get broken up along the ways for any number of reasons, be it violence or otherwise. The Mexican authorities often break these things up. So don't necessarily believe everything you hear about the caravan. So then you've got the situation in Canada, which is also tricky because essentially Canadian perspective, 2/3 of your GDP is based on trade. And then it's like 60 to 70% of your trade is from the USA. And so you got to make sure that you got a good trading partner down there. And then you got Trump saying, hey, we're going to raise tariffs on you. So Trudeau had a call with Trump. They called it a nice call. Who knows what they really talked about? You can ask him. But according to Trudeau, this was publicly, he said, one of the really important things is that we be all pulling together on this. The Team Canada approach is what works. What's interesting is that you may be getting, this are our buddies to the north in Canada, you may be getting a lot of Americans joining you. Why? Because they're sick of Trump and they want to go somewhere greener. And it might be Canada. I've been there a couple times. I really like Vancouver. I think it's a nice city. The only really downside is that it's expensive. But other than that, it's a great place to live. There are other cities you could go, things like that. And I'd like to hear from you Canadians. Have you seen the Americans starting to move in going, you know what? I'm tired of this Trump stuff. Now, that's Trudeau's point of view. He's saying things are nice. Let's go Team Canada. On the conservative side, that'd be the opposition would say here, this is from Pierre Paul, I guess, and he says, we have to tighten our borders on both sides. I only care about Canada. Again, this is the conservative side. I want to put our country first. We trade more with the US than we do with the rest of the world combined. I will do what is necessary to preserve our relationship above all others. And if you're Canadian watching this channel, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. It's sort of like, what's the fight going on in Canada? Do you side with Trump? Do you not side with Trump? Do you put on a bunch of trade barriers with the Americans, even though that's your biggest trade partner? Just want to hear the Canadian perspective on that, and please share. And then switching back to the American side, this was an interesting article. They were talking about, okay, we know the Trump tariffs are coming. Should you panic buy before prices go up? Because essentially you want to buy all these big ticket items before they go up due to tariffs, be it your washing machines, your TVs, cars, etc. Should you do it? The article suggested that no, don't do it if you can't afford it. Don't max out your credit card. However, if you do have the cash laying around and you're looking to buy a big ticket item, it's not crazy when you're talking about costs going up. Again, China, 10% tariff, Canada, Mexico, 25. Some of the numbers that they gave here is that perhaps your laptop could go up by $357. Your new refrigerator could go up by $100. So in the USA, some people are panic buying in anticipation of Trump's tariffs. And then you got companies reporting today, essentially explaining how their company's doing and how their consumers are doing. This is from them. Our third quarter results did not meet our expectations as sales remained soft in our apparel and footwear businesses. That's coming from the CEO, Kingsbury. He says, although we had a strong collective performance across our key growth areas, including Sephora, home decor, gifting, and impulse, and also benefit from the opening of Babies R Us shops in newer 200 stores, these were unable to offset the declines in our core business. And then you also had Best Buy reporting their earnings, reporting how their customers are doing. They're saying softer than expected. Their CEO, Corey Berry, said, quote, we're a little softer than expected during the second half of the quarter, a combination of the ongoing macro uncertainty, right? So the overall economy, customers waiting for deals and sales events, right? So they want cheaper prices, and distraction during the run up to the election, particularly in non-essential categories, led to softer than expected demand. In the first few weeks of quarter four, as holiday sales have begun and election is behind us, we have seen customer demand increase again. So we'll see how that ends up being with holiday season. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that one. Urban Outfitters also reported, and they said they're a little bit more optimistic about the holiday sales. I think, however, they're a little bit more upscale than the Kohl's, which sort of shows the divide between rich and poor that we've been seeing among the American consumer. But this is what it is, right? You look at what the market's doing, the economy is doing, what Trump's saying, and how our consumers are responding. Switching over to world news, I want to give you an update what's going on in Europe. Looks like some North Korean soldiers were injured. It was a general and some officers. And basically what's going on is North Korean soldiers are fighting for Russia. Western allies are giving more weapons to Ukraine. And unfortunately, it appears to be escalating. So we'll keep an eye on this situation. We do have a little bit of positive news, though, to report today. Essentially, Israel and Hezbollah have agreed on a ceasefire. But I don't think that necessarily solves the situation in Gaza, so we'll keep an eye on that. Stocks were ticking up just a bit, even though despite Trump's crazy tariff announcements, but as mentioned before, some individual stocks were getting hit hard. In particular, Dell was another one that was a loser today. Basically, they're saying, hey, maybe the AI hype isn't leading up to as much money as we thought it would be. And I've warned you guys about this for a long time. Companies may be investing in this stuff, but if they're not turning a profit, they're going to quit buying from companies like NVIDIA or Dell, and we'll keep eyes on that. My opinion, this whole thing is all hype. And then you have this, the Fed released their minutes today, and basically they are very, very, very cautious on inflation. Officials said price growth has eased substantially from its peak, but noted the core measure, which excludes food and energy, remains somewhat elevated. Participants indicated that they remained confident that inflation was moving substantially towards 2%. Yes, as they keep saying, although a couple noted the possibility that the process could take longer than previously expected. They can't comment on politics directly, but they know what's going on with Trump coming into office. And so they may not actually be cutting in December. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I think there's a high chance that they stand pat and then go look into next year and see what Trump does. So we'll keep an eye on what the Fed is saying and what they're doing. Then we have this, which is a difficult story to talk about, especially for young people, because you haven't seen something like this before. But the question is, are we facing a lost decade for stocks, meaning that our market is just going to be flat for the next 10 years or so? The basic gist of it is that we've had these crazy run-ups, be it COVID, be it crypto, be it AI, and we're trading at very, very hot levels, and basically everything's overvalued. Let me show you this chart here. This is a way to think about stocks. Do you want to talk about price to earnings? Do you want to talk about price to dividend, price to sales, the CAPE ratio, which is like your Shiller? Do you want to talk about price to book, Q ratio, Buffett ratio, average household equity to allocation, or S&P 500 to the M2 money supply? Any one of these indicators, though, will show you that we're basically running hot. You can see all the numbers here. This is based on percentiles, like comparing it to how far do you want to look back. But we're basically at the highest levels you could possibly be in recorded history on in terms of our valuation. So basically telling you that things are way, way overpriced compared to how much stocks and / companies earn. And to further illustrate the bubble that we're in, you have Elon Musk tweeting out, "This is why SpaceX was created. I really want SpaceX to make life multiplanetary. I'd like to see a self-sustaining base on Mars." Musk also says here, making life multiplanetary for the first time in 4.5 billion years is what humanity will accomplish this century. And this is the stuff that he's tweeting out, just further illustrating we're in a bubble, and many of our leaders on the Trump camp are disconnected from the regular person's lives. This is not hard to see. We can see it in the numbers, but yet things keep going up. The thing that's crazy about this stuff, you have the hot levels, You have these bubbles of your AIs, your cryptos, your Musk selling you robots and robotaxis, these kind of things. And you got this new crazy president coming into office in January. In my opinion, this is a perfect storm for a pullback. That's what it looks like to me. Like to hear you guys' thoughts on this one. Please be careful out there, and I'll catch you all in the next video.